Hey guys, Logan here at Redeye Race Cars. Welcome back. Since the last time you guys were with us, we've had a lot of different things happening here at the shop. A lot of different cars coming in, a lot of different projects. I'm back from racing. Had a successful couple weeks. We did have a few mishaps with the car. Got everything straightened out, turned back around, and ready for future events for this year to close out the season. Besides that, the Redeye for the shop. We've got a few different things going on with it. Fit all the new carbon fiber panels on it. Starting to assemble the front end and getting that thing a little bit closer to completion. There's still a lot more that needs to be done for the car, but we're trying to do everything we can to speed up that process. Moving on to the Pro Mod that we actually have sitting in the shop. Did a few more things to it. We revised the mid plate and the engine plate for the car. There's a few things that we weren't too happy with, so we kind of tweaked a few things around for better fitment. Starting to build the headers for the turbo kit on that car. And then we also have the 68 Challenger sitting on the lift in front of the Chevelle, which that, as opposed to most of the cars that we have in here, is actually going to be set up for like road course racing or circuit style racing. So with that, we're actually fitting in a new aftermarket front end. We're going to modify it a little bit. We actually just got it fit in the car right now just to see the overall fitment and what all we need to do. We're also building the jig table for that car, so that way that car's going to come off the lift onto the jig table, and we're going to really start getting the welding and cutting on that car. Besides that, we've also got a 68 Charger in the back. That's going to be more of a SEMA build, which you guys have probably already seen. We got a few more things going on it. It's actually all kind of chalked up right now. We got wheels fitted underneath it just to see what we need to modify for the front and rear suspension. And yeah, a few other things going around the shop, but go ahead and touch base with other guys and see what everyone's doing and where everything else is all at.
Wow. So Logan, we're looking at an entire new front end here?
Yep.
Or at least subframe?
Subframe, more or less. This is actually all an aftermarket kit. This is not fabricated in-house, although we are installing it in the car upon the customer's request. And we're also making some slight modifications for better fitment and just kind of for what we need to do with the car. So this is all getting fitted into the car now. We're cutting out what we need to make sure everything fits properly before it actually goes onto the jig table. Because once it's on there, it's going to be really hard to try and finagle this underneath the car. But yeah, just kind of getting everything set up and prepped for this car to go onto the jig table, and then start cutting it further, doing whatever welding we need to do. But should be a pretty nice build once it's done. Again, this is going to be a circuit style car, road racing style car. A lot different than what we kind of usually do here in the shop, but be very exciting nonetheless.
And this is which manufacturer makes this?
Speed Tech Performance is who make this. We got the whole kit from them. And it's overall a really nice kit, just obviously for what we're doing. We need to make a few modifications to it for better fitment on our end, and just for better application for what we're trying to do with the car.
So Mark, Logan just basically gave me a quick update on what's going on. Looks like the subframe is pretty much in. Now, is it going to stay in the car? Are we done with the subframe? We can move on to the next thing?
No, this is just a retrofit to figure out where else to trim, where the frame's got to get cleaned. Then it goes on the chassis jig that little Mark just made, so the body doesn't get blown out of shape. Then we'll square it, level it, laser, weld, and then continue on. It's getting new floors, full rear suspension, but the Speed Tech front fits pretty well. So that was a nice, less work for me to do.
Yeah, you didn't have to go in and make too many modifications.
No, their instructions are good, so it's pretty straightforward.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot when it comes to a build like this. It ain't easy as people think.
And it's a road race car.
Exactly.
That's not what I do. So for me, I got to do my homework, figure out, what are we doing? This is going to have like push rod, rear shocks. It has weird front suspension.
And is this because of the circuit, or is this because of the way that the car is coming out and the conversion that's being done to the car?
No, that's because of the way he wants to race. He wants it like road race stuff,
right,
which is just not. Our shit's all straight up and down. Your shit's all going to be cantilevered, and it's weird. 3-link rear, where I don't.
You've never done anything.
I don't have my chops down on that yet for the lingo.
So you're out of your comfort zone.
Way.
Okay. Doesn't mean that you can't do it. I know if anybody can do it, it's definitely you.
Oh, I have no doubt it's going to be sick. I just don't have the right verbiage yet.
Have you seen Logan?
Logan Day?
Yeah.
I have not seen Logan Day.
So,
Right at the car that we need to be.
yes. So this is a 68 Dodge Charger that is actually going to be a SEMA build. Don't get me wrong, this car is still going to be really fast, but it's not going to be just a track-focused car. This guy still wants to be able to drive it on the street like it's an everyday car, but it is also going to have an 850 cage. We're going to cut up a few things on the car for fitment, and it's also going to have a supercharged Hemi, I believe. So it's going to be pretty quick.
Definitely looks like we got some time before that happens.
Yeah, we got quite a bit of time before that happens.
From the last time I remember when we were doing the updates, we were actually working on the rear end to try and see where we wanted to fit the rear end for the wheels. So now we have the wheels on, at least kind of semi-fitted. So this is what we're kind of going to be looking at as far as the fitment goes?
Somewhat. So right now we got the rear end underneath the back of the car. Just that way, once we do get the rear end cut out, we can kind of push it underneath and see what we need to do for fitment. But as you guys can kind of tell, the offset on these is kind of aggressive. They're pretty cheap dish, and comparatively to the stock rear end out of the Hellcat, if we just put that right into the car, the rear wheels would be sticking out quite a lot.
Yeah.
So we have to go ahead and modify the rear end to be able to fit underneath the back of the car and also get the proper fitment, similar to what you see right now while they're chalked up underneath the car.
This looks so good.
It looks really good. I'm actually a really big fan of it, and it kind of chalked up with the wheels underneath it, kind of.
I feel like this is something Mark would have on his build. Mark, you like these old school bad boys?
Yes, I'd rather do this.
That looks really good. So, Rachel, what do you think the next step is going to be then for this in this process?
You know what? At this point, the guys are going to full weld the cage. They did an 850 cage in the car, which looks amazing. So they'll full weld that, add whatever bars need to be added, and then that'll be the next step for them.
As far as the fitment goes for the rear subframe, how do you think that's going to actually pan out? What's the plan?
Well, it is from a Hellcat going in a 68 Charger, so they're going to shorten the suspension on it. The rear will be shortened, and they have to fit the front suspension also from the Hellcat into the 68 Charger. So
quite a bit of ways to go.
yeah, they got their work cut out for them.
So basically, the way the CUDA sits on this jig is pretty much the way the track car is going to sit on this jig.
Correct, relatively. So as you guys see on the CUDA, we do have some mounting points for the jig to the CUDA on like the rocker panels. It's going to be very similar to that car. As you guys can see right now, it's on the lift. Pretty much all the lift points are pretty much going to be exactly where we kind of mount the car to the jig. With a lot of these cars, they're all kind of different, far in between, even cars that are the same kind of make and model, just depending on how we cut them up. So we have to find different points to kind of mount them to the jig table. But yeah, it's going to be very similar to the CUDA in the fact that we're pretty much going to mount it right to where the rockers are or the frame. And just so that way we can stabilize the car again, so once we cut out the middle section for like the floor pans or anything like that, the body doesn't tweak or move and mess up our map. So.
Oh, Mark's car's got tires on it now.
Oh yeah. So Mark is starting to near completion. We actually did quite a few things in the rear end of the car.
Oh, these are from his car too?
Yeah, these will be added to his car.
So a lot of work happening to try and finish up for Mark's car.
Yes.
From what I see. Tell me a little about the rear end, because last time we were talking about it, there was still some welding and modifications happening back there.
Yeah, so if we go back here right now, we got, obviously you can see it's on the ground. There's a few other things that we need to finish up back here, but we do got the tin work pretty much done in the back end of the car. Got it mocked up in the car right now. And yeah, so it's getting very close. As Rachel just showed you guys, there's a few other things that are going to go back here in the back of the car that we have to make mounting brackets and all that for. But no, once it's all on the ground, I would definitely be willing to bet that it's very near completion. So there's a few other things that we got to do as far as the turbo kit as well. But it's getting there. It's definitely come a long way, and yeah, can't wait to see this car when it's done.
So Mark, I remember the last time you were actually still working on the basically inner panels to try and fit the new fitment of what you have now, which is pretty much exactly where you were trying to be up. How did everything else go with the install?
Pretty smooth. Everything's done, welded, assembled, full of gear oil. This is pretty much, the front will be a little lower, but in the back, this is pretty close to ride height for what we were trying to achieve. And that's it. We just have to tin the trunk in, Then fit the fuel cell, water cell back in here, battery, and just work our way out from the inside. Put the new carbon deck lid, wing, dual chute mount, and then the back of the car is done. Then we'll go forward and start doing the turbo kit. So it already has the headers are done. We're gonna have to Zeus the hood on, and then we'll just convert it from its blower stuff to the twin turbo setup. No intercooler. And that should wrap this up. So it's pretty straightforward.
And you're happy with the fitment? Is that where? That's exactly where you pretty much wanted it.
Yeah. The back worked out spot on. Like, I have no...
I know you were having some worries with that at the time. I think suspension geometry may have played a role there, but you handled that. You were able to get it taken care of?
Yeah, everything's good.
Awesome. And these new carbon pieces fit fantastically. Very impressed. You know how you always have that one issue with carbon where like one piece just doesn't want to line up?
Yeah, that's the not fun part about carbon fiber paneling.
This one didn't give you too much of a headache, did it?
It did not. So obviously with this being a race car, there's a couple things we had to do to kind of give it more rigidity as far as kind of where we put hardware and hardware that we use, as opposed to this was still kind of like a factory car, installing all these parts on it. But no, not really a terrible install. So as you guys can see, we got carbon fiber splitter on the car, side skirts with caps. We also got a rear diffuser on the car as well. And if you guys notice, currently the kind of rear section of the rear wide body panel is missing. We actually got the carbon fiber versions of those, but it's a full molded piece. So we actually sent those out to a body shop, so that way the lower half remains carbon fiber finish and kind of goes in line with the side skirts and rear diffuser. But the top half is actually going to be paint matched to the F8 green as the same color as the car. So it should turn out looking very nice. But yeah.
So is there any other updates for this car? I know we're still waiting on some motor components with Gabby over at EIC, but as far as the rest of the components, is there anything else we're waiting on?
Correct. So we are, as you mentioned, waiting on stuff from EIC, but we do have actually the struts put back in the car right now. We do need to rebuild both the struts, just kind of go over the hardware that we've got for them. There's a few things that need to be tweaked on them, a few things that need to be touched up, but we got those set in the car. I'm actually putting on the arms and everything like that for the front suspension. We did actually get the hood complete, so you guys may have noticed that before. We didn't actually have the Zeus's riveted into the hood yet. We had to do some clearancing on the holes for the fitment for the Zeus fit fasteners. So now that's complete. We do have the race tech seat mocked up in the car currently. There's a few things we need to do with kind of making our own spacers and seeing kind of hardware that we're going to use to get the seat fitted in the car. But other than that, we are actually working on the brake system for the car as well. So we got that kind of taken apart for whatever's in the cab of the car. The rear end's already complete. Front end's not done because we're not there yet. But for the cab of the car, we're actually redoing the brake lines, how they connect to the pedal box, as well as how they connect to the reservoir for the brake system. So we're redoing that, and we're actually going to get started on doing the fire suppression system on the car as well. So, which entails putting all the fittings on the tabs that are already welded onto the car and creating the lines for that.
So, Dustin, I know you're in charge of making some of the smaller and larger components for multiple applications on multiple builds in the shop. What do you think you're going to have to make for the fire suppression system?
So a lot of times the clips that they make originally, they're flat. They don't hug the roll cage. So using our 3D printer and our CAD software, we made these clips to where they're going to hug the diameter of the frame. It's going to be able to keep that system tight up against the frame. It'll be a lot less.
There's a lot less spacing in between. Yeah, I see. A lot less
chance of something catching it and ripping it off. It looks a lot more professional, and we can just drill and tap it, and we're good to go.
So much more cleaner look. Keeps the line away from anything that could possibly grab it, yank it. This is a small piece of innovation. Works out well. Now, are these also available to the public?
Yeah, you can get these on our online store. They're made out of carbon fiber filament. So there's an actual carbon fiber inside there that makes it stronger. it's really hard to break. You can't hardly break it, but also being close up against the frame, there's no chance of it breaking.
Hey Rachel, I did see that somebody was asking about the carbon fiber door panels online. Is that a thing that we can get for other people?
Yes, it is. So Dustin was nice enough to cut these out for us the other day, and we're going to get these shipped out today. They are custom carbon fiber door panels for one of our customers, and he also cut out the door handles to go with it.
Also, the door handles are also an option for the back?
Yep.
That's great,
Yep.
that's great, that's great. Now, what application is this for?
This is going in, I believe, a Hellcat.
Okay.
Yep, almost positive it's going.
Now, is Hellcat the only application that we do have available at the moment?
At the moment, I think we have, I have to double check, but I think we have a Mustang and a Hellcat.
All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode. We got a lot of information from Mark, Logan, and everybody here. As you saw, we're working on a bunch of different cars here, so be sure to like, subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell for notifications.